Thank you so much all for joining me in this specific session. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurusar Education, and this lecture specifically is going to be on the revenue concept, and revenue is most important thing. Okay, as we are moving further for the different topics in the managerial economics, we have already understood the concept of theories of a firm. After that, I taught you regarding demand and law of demand, and what was there for us to study. And after that, we have already understood the concept of elasticity of demand. I have taught you basic methods. There were three kinds of elasticity of demand, and all the methods we have already understood. And the next thing which comes into uh, for this specific book or this specific subject, this is the concept of revenue. And revenue concept is very important because as we shall move further and further, then we shall get to know the different aspects which are directly or indirectly related to all what we have studied previously. So when we are studying the demand or elasticity of demand or a revenue. All these things are applicable in the upcoming video lectures or the upcoming theories regarding managerial economics, because at last we have to study different kind of market structures, in which I shall teach you in detail the concept of a perfect market. Then after that we shall study the imperfect competition in the market, and that is divided into two parts, basically monopoly and monopolistic competition. And finally there is oligopolistic competition. Why I am giving you detail of all these marketing structures right now? The only reason being the things which we are learning on daily basis, these are very important from the point of view of understanding those chapters as well, because this is just the basic. Okay, demand, elasticity of demand, the concept of a revenue, then utility, then indifferences curve. All these things are just your basics. Okay, although specifically each and everything has been written in your syllabus as well, but still these are basics, because the advanced economics contains the different kind of market structure in itself. And for understanding those points, you have to have the knowledge of demand, then elasticity, revenue, utility, and indifference curves. Okay, so this specific lecture regarding the revenue concept is going to be very important from exam point of view, because number of time we have observed that they can ask you the question from the relationship between the average revenue and marginal revenue and total revenue. That kind of a question can be asked to you, although its probability in comparison of other chapters is lower, but still this is very important and very conceptual topic to go through. So in this topic we shall be talking about revenue, and most importantly the three kinds of revenue from the perspective of managerial economics. And these are total revenue, then I shall tell you about marginal revenue, then I shall tell you about average revenue. And the most important thing, what are the relationship between these three items, these three kind of revenues? That is the most important topic to go through. Okay, so whatever we shall study today, that shall be applicable while we shall study the concept of market structure as well. So that's why I'm just going to request you that you have to listen very carefully, you have to see everything, and you have to understand as the way I'm going to teach you. So just as usual, the convention is there. I ask you every time. I'm just going to share the screen right now. Just going to take your confirmation. Can I start my lecture now? Are you able to listen to me carefully, clearly? Can I start now? I just need confirmation. All right. Thank you so much. I've got the confirmation. Let me open the lecture, what we have prepared for you in this specific lecture. Just I shall take some seconds of you. Okay. All right. I have opened the system now. Just going to share the screen so that you can see this and you can enjoy the complete lecture. All right. So this is the complete system of concept of revenue. That is, we are going to study in today's lecture, and this is very important. Okay, so that everything goes line by line, okay, in sequence by sequence. Everything, whatever we study in the concept of managerial economics, everything goes step by step. Okay, first of all, managerial economics teaches you what should be the objectives. If you are the owner of the firm, then what objectives you should keep in your mind. Okay, secondly, it tells you how to generate demand. This is the reason why we study the concept of demand. Okay, this is the basic reason. And then it tells you then what are the different factors which can affect the demand. So this is the reason why we have to study the concept or this the specific chapter of elasticity of demand. And moving further in this sequence is the study of next chapter, that is going to be revenue. It shall tell you how firms earn. Okay, how firms earn. So for this specific reason, this specific chapter is always given in the textbook of undergraduation or post-graduation books of managerial economics. So now just going to explain you this concept. Okay, so as usual, I always tell you what we shall study in this lecture. So we shall be answering 3 or 4 questions. I think the first question shall usually be the definition of revenue. I shall teach you what is the meaning of revenue from the perspective of any economist or a business organization or firm. Secondly, I shall tell you what is the meaning of total revenue. Then I shall answer you what is the meaning of average revenue. Then I shall tell you in the fourth question what's the meaning of marginal revenue. And finally, in the fifth question, I shall answer you what is the relationship between all these 3 things. Okay, these are going to be TR, AR, and MR. These are represented to specific kind of revenues. TR stands for total revenue. Then AR is there, that stands for average revenue. Then MR stands for marginal revenue. So now just going to move further, and this is all about revenue. So it just refers to income earned. Okay, so that refers to income earned. How? Earned by selling of your goods or services at different prices. Okay, so this is just income earned. So revenue is an income earned, okay, by selling goods at different prices. This is all about revenue. So the term revenue refers to the income obtained by a firm through the sale of goods at different prices. Okay, so that refers to income earned or income obtained by firm by sale of goods, and this is the only way by which you can earn the income. Okay, so whether you are a product firm or you are a service firm, you have to sell something. You can earn money only if you sell something, and when you sell something, you get something in return, and that return is the money, and that ultimately makes your revenue. Okay, this is your revenue. So this is all about the definition of revenue. So in the words of Dooley, the revenue of a firm is its sales, receipt, or income. So it is all about that. So I think I have given you information and knowledge regarding the meaning of revenue, and this is revenue, and this is divided into 3 parts which we are going to study right now. So as far as the first question is concerned, I have already given you information regarding that. The second question was different types of revenues, and I'm going to explain you all these right now. The first is going to be the total revenue, and the second one is going to be the average revenue, and the third one is going to be the marginal revenue. So these are the 3 kinds of revenues which we are going to study right now. Okay, so here it has been described that the revenue can be divided into 3 parts: the total revenue, then there is average revenue, then there is marginal revenue. Okay, so as far as total revenue is concerned, when you sell the units, okay, when you sell the total units of the firm, suppose you have sold 100 units of the products what you have prepared, okay, and the selling price of each unit was 100 rupee. When you multiply total units sold with per unit amount, okay, so that comes to be an amount which is known as total revenue earned by the firm, okay. So it is all about the concept of total revenue. When you multiply total units sold by the price per unit, okay. So when you multiply these two figures, then whatever the value comes, then that ultimately becomes your total revenue. So it's just saying that the total revenue is a sum of all sales, receipt or income of the firm. So in fact, total revenue is a multiple of price and output. So whatever the price is there, whatever the price has been decided by you, and whatever the output you have sold, by selling the output at specific price, whatever the value you get, that is known as your total revenue, okay. So here I have explained that how you can find this. So total revenue stands for, TR stands for total revenue, Q stands for your output, okay, and AR stands for average revenue or per price per unit, okay. I have already told you that total units multiplied by price per unit. When you multiply these two, you get the total revenue. And price per unit is always equal to average revenue, which I shall explain when it turns comes, okay. So this is just an example that, for example, if a price of a commodity is 100 rupee and total units sold are 20, then the total revenue shall be 100 multiplied by 20, and that shall be 2000, and that shall be the total revenue of uh, the firm. Two things you have to remember. Okay, the first thing is you have to check the total units sold, okay, total units sold. You should be concerned about the total units sold when you are calculating the total revenue. And the second thing is you must know the price per unit, the price per unit for the commodity, okay, price per unit. So when you multiply total units sold by price per unit, the value what comes is your total revenue. I hope that was very easy, and I genuinely believe that in your undergraduation, post graduation, you would have gone through, but I am just clearing your concepts once again. So now just moving further, and this is going to be the next concept, and that is regarding average revenue, okay. So this is average revenue. So what is average revenue? This is just selling per unit, okay. Average revenue refers to the revenue obtained by the seller by selling per unit commodity, okay. For selling just a single unit, okay, for just one unit, whatever the price is, that is known as your average revenue, okay. So I have already explained you average revenue is always equal to price per unit or price. So this is all about that, okay. So the average revenue curves shows that the price of the firm's product is the same at each level of output. So there are 5 units, okay, there are 5 units, and each unit is costing 5 rupee. Then the total revenue shall be 25, but the average revenue or the price per unit shall be constant at 5 per unit, okay. So this price is known as your average revenue. Okay, so you can simply say in a layman's language that average revenue is always equal to the price per unit for the commodity. So it's just the formula for finding that, okay. So average revenue is per unit revenue. When we talk about per unit revenue, we can simply say that this is the price. This is the price by selling one unit of a commodity only. So it can be find like we have already given you the formula of finding total revenue, that was average revenue or the price multiplied by quantity. Okay, I have given you the formula like total revenue is equal to quantity multiplied by price. So price is always equal to average revenue. So you can say or you can write that TR is equal to Q, or Q stands for quantity sold. Then price, if price is equal to average price, then you can write it like average revenue. Okay, so for finding the average revenue, if you take the Q to the to left hand side, then you can just take the Q in the denominator under total revenue, then that shall be the result of your average revenue. So it is just it can be obtained that if you divide total revenue by the total quantity, then whatever you get, that shall result into your average revenue. So this is all about that. So AR is equal to TR divided by Q, and AR stands for average revenue, TR total revenue, and Q is output. And this is all about that. So again, here has been written TR is equal to price multiplied by output. Output stands for quantity, and that is nothing else. So when you multiply these two, then these are known as the result shall be your total revenue. When you take output to the left hand side, it shall become in denominator under total revenue, and that shall result in your P only, and P stands for average revenue, and this is all about that, and nothing difficult to understand. So I hope I was able to make you clear regarding the concepts of a total revenue. That was the total revenue obtained by the firm by selling all the units. Okay. And secondly, we find the average revenue, and that was the revenue earned by selling per unit or individual unit of the commodity. So next we are moving further, and this is going to be the concept number third, and that is going to be regarding marginal revenue. So what is marginal revenue? It is completely different from average revenue, and it certainly do not have any kind of basic for average revenue, but there is certainly a relationship. It can be obtained from the total revenue. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now how you have sold two commodities. Okay, you have sold two commodities and you have earned the price of or the total revenue of 10 rupee. Then after that you have sold one more. Okay, so in total you have sold 3 units and you have obtained the total revenue of 12 units. Total revenue of 12 units. So by selling 3 units, you got a 12 rupee. By selling 2 units, you got 10 rupee. The difference is of 2, and this is your marginal revenue. So what is this? This is just the revenue by selling an additional unit of the commodity. So this is all about that. Okay, I've given you the example of that. Marginal revenue is the net revenue obtained by selling an additional unit of a commodity. Okay, so this is just addition made to total revenue by selling one more unit of the goods. So it's all about that. Giving you one more example, suppose you have sold 5 units. Okay, by selling 5 units, you have obtained or you have got 50 rupees. Okay, and then you sold one additional unit, and in total now you have sold six unit, and you have got a total of 56 rupees. So this is your total revenue. So total revenue by selling 6 units is 56, and total revenue by selling 5 units you get 50 rupee. Okay, and the difference is 6, and this is marginal revenue. So this is the revenue which is obtained by selling one more unit of a commodity. So it's all about that. So uh, here is the relationship of MR with TR. Okay, so how you can find the marginal revenue? This is just the difference in the total revenue divided by difference in quantity. Okay, here delta stands for difference in total revenue. So this is the second formula. This is marginal revenue is equal to total revenue by selling n number of units. In our example, that was 6, and minus total revenue obtained by selling n minus 1 unit, and that was 5 in our case. Okay, So when you sell 56 from 50, you get 66 rupees, and that is your this is your marginal revenue. So this is the concept of marginal revenue, and I hope you would have got that idea. And this is just explanation of all the terms used in this specific formula. So it's all about that. Okay. So now till now we have studied three concepts. Okay. Total, then average, and marginal revenue. Now some other things which are necessary to go through just for the again the deep understanding of all the things like TR, AR, and MR. So here is a table, complete table, which shows you the relationship between all the three things. Okay. So here is the units. Here is given units in the very first column of this table. So this is unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So by selling the units, okay, by selling the units, you are getting some kind of revenues. Okay. By selling one unit, your total revenue is 10. Then it comes to be 18, then 24, then 28, then 30, then 30. Okay. So this is the case how this is increasing. Okay. But this example has been shown where the prices are not constant. Okay. Where the prices are not constant. And that happens in the case of a monopoly or monopolistic competition. Otherwise, in case of a perfect competition, the prices always remain the same, because the firm is always a price taker, not the price maker. Okay. So that concept we shall study when the time of market structure comes. Till now we have to understand this concept only. Okay. So this table has been formed by taking into consideration the imperfect structure of market. Okay. So it tells you that the prices are not constant, prices are declining. Okay. So is the total revenue. Total revenue has been given here. So when you simply multiply price by the units sold, then you get the total revenue. Okay. So 2 multiplied by 9 is 18, 3 multiplied by 8 is 24. So 4 multiplied by 7 is 28. So in this way, when you multiply price by quantity, you get the total revenue. And what is marginal revenue? Basically for marginal revenue, I'm showing this specific table. So this is just an addition to the revenue, total revenue, by selling one more unit. So by selling 2 units, you get 18 rupee. By selling 1 unit, you get a 10 rupee only. When you reduce 10 from 18, you get 8, and this is your marginal revenue. So the next is 24. 24 minus 18 is 6. This is your marginal revenue by selling third unit. Then 28 minus 24, you get 4 only, and this is your marginal revenue by selling fourth unit. Okay. So in this way it goes on. You just have to deduct or reduce the successive level of total revenue. Okay. So in this way you can find the relationship between these two. And specifically, again, I am telling you that this specific table has been taken into consideration and not taking into account the perfect competition where the prices remains constant. Okay. So you can say that if someone is selling an ice cream at 5 rupee, he shall not reduce his cost at any level. For any reason, he shall not. He has sold me an ice cream for 5 rupee. When he shall sold you the ice cream, he shall again charge the 5 rupee only. So the prices always remains constant, but it happens only in the case of a perfect competition. But in case of imperfect competitions, the seller of the product has to reduce the prices so that he can earn more and more, so that he can capture the great level of a market. So that specific example has been taken by taking into consideration the imperfect structure of the market. And basically this table I have shown only for making you able to understand the concept of a marginal revenue and nothing else. So I think you were able to understand this complete concept. Now I'm going to tell you the relationship between all these three things, and before showing you all that, I think that I must tell you I must teach you this specific structure or this specific table. Okay. So we have studied it till now: total revenue, then average revenue, and marginal revenue. And in this one diagram, I shall show you in detail what can be possibly the definition of all these, and what can possibly be the relationship between all these three things. Okay. So we are not going to talk about only the perfect computation. We are going to talk about imperfect computation, and that is only necessary from the point of view of understanding the concept of revenue. Because in case of a perfect computation, prices always remains constant, and these depends upon demand and supply. Where these two cuts, that becomes your average revenue or price. But that happens only in case of a perfect computation. So now I'm going to tell you what the relationship between TR, AR, and MR is. So here in this diagram, you are seeing two basic diagrams, or two basic structures, two basic graphs actually. Okay. So there are four kind of axes. The first is OX axis. Okay. In this upper diagram, only the total revenue curve has been shown. Okay. So in OX axis, the level of output has been given. Okay. So this is 1 unit, 2nd unit, 3rd unit, 4th unit, 5th unit, 6th and 7th, and so on. And on the OY axis, here has been given the revenue earned by selling these units. Okay. It's just showing that by selling 1 unit, you have earned 10 rupee. By selling 2nd unit, you have earned 15 rupee. By selling 3rd unit, you have earned something between 20 to 25. So this is how the relationship of a TR has been established in this specific upper diagram. And in the below diagram, the two curves are shown for average revenue and marginal revenue. Okay. So again, in the OX axis, here has been given the output that is same that was in upper diagram. Okay. So this is unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, on the OY axis, here has been given some revenues. Okay. These are revenues. So in the upper diagram, we shall show only the total revenue, and in the below diagram, we shall show both the average revenue and marginal revenue. And in this way, we shall establish the relationship between these three things. Okay. So it just shows that when the total revenue increases, total revenue always increases at the decreasing rate. Okay. First of all, you shall keep this thing in your mind. In case of imperfect computation, the total revenue increases, but that increases at a diminishing rate. That's why this is somewhat curved. This is why this is not a straight line. So it's curved, and it shows that when the total revenue is increasing, both of the things like average revenue and marginal revenue, both shall be decreasing. Both shall be decreasing, but the level of decrease of marginal revenue shall be higher than average revenue. Average revenue shall always be above the marginal revenue. So when this is increasing, both are decreasing, but the rate of decrease in the MR is more than AR. So this is the first relationship. And second, it's just showing that at specific level, it becomes constant. And when it becomes constant, this is TR, this is total revenue. When this becomes constant, marginal revenue becomes 0, and average revenue still remains positive. This is the second relationship. The third one is after this level, as the AR is decreasing, total revenue starts declining. And when it starts declining, marginal revenue becomes negative, and average revenue always becomes positive. It always remains positive. It can decline more and more, but it never touches the OX axis. If it touches, that means the seller is selling free of cost, and that doesn't happen ever. So this only diagram can make you aware with the relationship of all these figures. Okay, so just going to explain this again. So now you can see that as the total revenue is increasing, both are decreasing. AR and MR both are decreasing at a level. When TR becomes the constant, stagnant, the marginal revenue becomes zero, but that remains positive. The AR always remains positive. And after this stagnation, the total revenue starts decreasing. The AR also starts decreasing, but it never touches to zero. But the marginal revenue starts becoming negative. And this is the relationship between these two figures, these three items basically. So I hope you have got the idea of all these things clearly. So it was all that, and this is just a theoretical portion, and I don't think that this is difficult for you to understand, because in this complete diagram I have shown you everything necessary for understanding the relationship between TR, AR and MR. So now just this thing, and this thing is very, very important, because once I have added this specific thing only for the reason that once this was asked in the examination, this is just saying what is the relationship between elasticity of demand, average revenue and marginal revenue. Do you know that the elasticity of demand can be obtained by AR and MR alone as well? How you can obtain, I am just going to tell you in this figure. Okay, so elasticity of demand is always equal to average revenue divided by average revenue minus marginal revenue. So this is how you can obtain that. And the next equations you can derive if you have understood this specific equation. You just have to remember that elasticity of demand is equal to average revenue divided by average revenue minus marginal revenue, and it's all about that. You can take average revenue there, then E there, then you can make this formula. You can take MR there, you can take E on the right hand side, then you can make this formula, and this is all about that. It's a relationship is not, you are not supposed to go deeply for that. You are just supposed to understand that the elasticity of demand, the concept which you have already studied in the chapter of elasticity of demand, that kind of elasticity you can obtain only with the help of two figures, that is average revenue and marginal revenue. And one more important thing is that you can obtain this elasticity of demand by using this specific formula, irrespective of any kind of market structure, whether this is perfect market, whether this is monopolistic competition, or oligopoly competition. By only this formula you can find the elasticity of demand, and this is all about that, and nothing difficult to understand. Okay, so that was just a theoretical portion of what you have to contain, what you have to understand regarding the elasticity of demand. So if we are making the conclusion in today's lecture, we have studied regarding the concept of revenue. It's just the amount earned, total value or total amount earned by selling your output. And when you multiply your output sold with the price, that becomes your total revenue. Price is always known as average revenue. So this is why you can also write that quantity multiplied by average revenue is equal to total revenue. So total revenue is there. If you take it on this side, then you take the Q on the right hand side, it shall become in the denominator of total revenue, and that you can simply obtain the formula of average revenue. And finally, there is marginal revenue. This is just the additional revenue obtained by selling an additional unit. So you can simply say that total revenue obtained by selling n number of units minus total revenue obtained by selling n minus 1 units. So when you solve this equation, you get the value of marginal revenue. And the relationship, I genuinely prefer this alone diagram, This diagram can make you aware of everything. It's just saying that if when TR is increasing, both AR MR are decreasing, but MR's rate of decrement is much more than AR. When TR becomes constant, marginal revenue becomes zero, but AR still remains positive. And after that, it starts declining. And when TR starts declining, both starts declining again. And MR starts becoming negative, but AR never touches to OX axis. This thing you have to remember in your mind. So I think I have explained you in detail the concept of these. I have not touched upon the concept of a different AR and MR curves in the different kind of market structures. The only reason being we have yet to cover these topics. Whenever their times come, I shall be explaining you in detail how AR and MR can be drawn in case of a different market structures. So this is all about that. The next lecture is going to be taken at 6 p.m. Okay, so I'm just making a delay because I genuinely believe that I need the rest of five minutes. So at 6 p.m. we shall be talking about the letter series, and this is very easy to understand. Just one lecture would be enough. I will solve a number of examples by which you can easily understand the concept of letter series. Regarding number series, this day was specifically allotted, but we are going somewhat faster. So I believe that as maximum as we could cover, that would be much better for us. So just going to inform you that after 20 minutes you have to join for paper first. If anybody is busy, they can get the recorded lectures as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this lecture. This was Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education.